I could never end up trying it because I'm
Yeah.
nervous. So
No, I want actually here, close by. There is like a good restaurant. I went there. It's very yummy. Here's the base.
Put a little cream cheese on your leg on your
It would have been something for you.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Right?
oh, you see what I love.
Yeah.
Easy to
Yeah, I left like at 12:30. Can you
So
imagine?
I feel so like sorry.
But you
If there
know,
was no traffic, I think you would be an hour early.
no, the thing is like, yeah, of course.
Get all in.
Ah, you could make a heart.
Oh, heart. Yeah. 하트.
Number 6. One by one, introduce your
Can you buy all of this ingredients? Like this at the toilet?
No, there's too much text. Too much text. This is a way now. I'll pick up. Cannot do something like this now.
I like this. It's good for your gut.
Mm.
I never saw kiwi.
I think this is the, you know, like yujacha.
I know you just try it still in the fridge. I
Yeah,
haven't taken-
it's
tried it.
you can make it with kiwi. I think as well.
I think I'm gonna put too much right now. I don't know. Yeah, too much. There's a lot of white. I should use it. That's what I'm gonna do this year.
Italian, Italian kwaja, Italian snacks.
Go back to it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and put it.
My hometown.
Oh,
Here.
oh my god, it looks yummy.
Yeah, this
Jam.
is like the.
Raspberry,
This is like the. How you say this? Buckwheat.
buckwheat.
Buckwheat. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's gluten free, you know. Like this jam is like cranberry jam.
Cranberry jam.
Strudel. They also have strudel. Oh my god, this is so cute.
Strudel.
Yeah, it's like apple inside
Mm.
and puff pastry.
What's that?
Straum. Oh my god,
What's
they
the
really
apple? Is
have
that apples?
everything. No, this is like this is similar like donuts.
Donuts.
Yeah, donut pastry, similar. It's like fried. So cool. They really put inside like a few ones from my hometown. So cool. Ah, so cute.
They don't make the same thing.
I guess
Is this like breaded?
only one. This is funny.
Oh, this is so
So
nice.
good, like-
Screenshot this.
Ah, sorry. Okay.
Oh, you should have the heart. It's like a making.
Cute. Maybe someday. Yeah, everything is fair trade there. Fair trade chocolate, fair trade rice, fair trade necklace,
Oh!
crochet.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Can we go inside?
Yeah, let's go. It's close. It's just like super small. Oh, wood. I really like woody stuff.
They have like a house spray. That's what. House. Oh, you don't like floral. Yeah,
It's too sweet.
sweet.
Patchouli. You know what that is?
Patchouli, yeah. Type of flower.
This is something that you can probably bring. Yeah, right. You haven't eaten yet. So what do you want to eat?
I will stuff to go on the go.
On the go, you're gonna be freezing. Let's sit down somewhere. Is it slow, really? Tomato soup, yay! This is beef. Pastrami, what is that?
Pastrami is also sweet usually.
Beef. Okay, let's go.
Let's take a look. They have chicken chipotle.
Yes. Let's go inside.
Yeah,
First,
what meat is it?
I hadn't had a good daily. Yeah, they have also bresaola. This is Italian.
I always get pastrami. Pastrami always.
I love this kind of. It's so most cafe and everything is too sweet for you. Do you have woody? Oh, but you don't like woody?
This one is our signature.
Signature?
Tea.
Oh yeah. I think for body wash. Let's go up before I break something else. Like I didn't break anything yet, but I could break. So I think we found the right place for us. 먹어도 돼 이거? 어떻게 먹어? 우와 추워 추워 추워.
그때 보는 게 오, 위험해 보인다, 손가락.
얘기 아저씨 이거 하자 못해? 누나도 누나 봐봐 지카드 여기 2개 있습니다.
아, 비행기 티켓도 있어요?
이렇게 손 닦을게요.
띡 2명이에요, 알도랑?
그리고
여권도 있어요?
시크릿 주주라고 합니다.
아, 네.
나는 도와줘. 이거 어떻게
자, 반다.
내가 할게.
Anta sao?
잠깐.
Dạ.
이걸 하나요?
아이고.
야, 한다. 엄마 시크릿 트레이더문 알바한테 새로 빌려줬어.
Oh, brava! Hast du den auch so richtig? Die Schuhe anziehen, Schatzi. Die Schuhe und die Jacke anziehen. Halt die Schuhe und die Jacke anziehen. Und Reis zusammen essen.
알도 알고 거 따로 해. 산타 이렇게 말도 이렇게 10개 모으.